Okay, meeting started.
I welcome everybody to Community Board One Transportation and Street Activity Permit Committee. I'm Committee Chair Betty Kay, and I'm accompanied by Zach Baum, the District Manager, and Jess Coleman, the Vice Chairman of this committee. Today we have an agenda with 4 items. Ready? Go to the next one. Yeah, the 4 items, but we'll start off with the Canal Street redesign. And keep in mind, we're just going through internally to let people get an idea what's going on. We will hopefully have the DOT at the meeting next month. At the end of this month, we hope to have an announcement, CB 1, 2, and 3. We'll be holding a joint meeting, which will be run by the chairs of those 3 CBs. And again, we will have probably not work on the resolution until the December meeting. Why? Because I found out nobody from the DOT is really expecting any of the CBs to turn in their resolutions till the end. Which gives us time so we don't have to rush. Next month, when you have the people that you can ask questions. You can ask questions to me. I don't know. Okay, next one. So let's move on to the redesign. And I want to remind everybody of what exactly our district is. You can see the border lines. Go to the next one. These are the lines. This is from Beta, New York City, through the lines. You can see CB 1, 2, and 3. We are south of Canal Street, up until where CB 3 picks up at Baxter Street. On the north side of Canal Street, almost all of it is CB 2, and that they go all the way to blank of names, to the Bower, to Bower Street, which is right at the entry of Manhattan Village. Okay, so they have the west side of the street, the east side of the street, CB 3, but that's all they have on the north side. They have a lot on the south side, and all of it east of the bridge. Okay, so keep in mind, we at CB 1 will be looking at from our perspective. We can talk about any of it, but we have in the past been a little bit hesitant to speak about other CB territory, other than how it affects us. Next. So the project area, as I said, the dividing lines where they are. The traffic island and where the Chinatown kiosk is where all 3 meet. We have the west side of the street, west side of Baxter Street, the north side of Canal is CB 2, CB 3, the south end of it is where we have CB 3, and that's Walker Street. And you'll see there's a lot of activity going on there in this proposal. Next. So, starting with the DOT as presented. Next. You can see they divided into 2 segments. We have the south side of the whole west Canal Street, and we have half where that number 7 is. We go right up to there because that's where the triangle is. And Baxter Street is. So we have some interest in both sides. And we'll go through them. As you can see up on the top right, you'll see the project goals. What I want to do first is go through the project goals and let people opine on those. So you can see if people have objections to the goals themselves and what's being done for them, or just to where they're placed. So we'll go through them geographically as well, because that may be where the objection is. I'm trying to get information for the eventual resolution. Next. So relieving pedestrian crowding and improving sidewalk accessibility is one of 5 goals the DOT has for this project. If you look at it, there are 2 of all of the 5 segments. There are going to be 2 locations where this comes to play, and one of them, they don't even consider it as this. So relieving crowding will be Baxter, will be Broadway to Baxter and the Baxter to Bowery, those 2 segments. And there will be full block sidewalk extensions along Canal Street. So interesting to me was they talk about full block. They don't say cement full block. So, but they don't say painted either. So I don't know what you're gonna have to wait till next month to ask what the intention is. Installing the new crosswalks and painted curb extensions for shorter crossings seem to make sense. And that's where they put it, is with crossing safety. However, as far as access, especially for people like me, those extensions give us a place to mix when we're getting off the sidewalk and on the sidewalk. But right now, you're doing it on the sidewalk in this tiny little area and everybody's crashing into each other. But, yeah. Any comments? Go back. Any comments anybody has? I'll look for hands up about these particular, this goal and these manifestations. All right.
Yes, these goals, none of them address,
No, just this one goal.
no, the one goal? Okay,
Just one goal. We'll look at all five of them.
okay. No, I think they're missing something then. But I'll wait.
Okay, well, when we get into the big picture, you'll, come on.
I mean, the only focusing on east of Broadway for the first,
Where they see the most crowd.
yeah. That I don't really understand. It's upsetting.
That's partially, I think, why I put in the one with sidewalk extensions at the end for the crossings. Because that's how they're managing it there. You don't see the full length of the block as an issue, or there are some lane and other issues. They can't narrow the street. I don't know. I'll have to wait till next month to ask that question. But anyway, another way of doing it is at least around where like the curb ramps are. You'll let's see that later. There's no other, let's go on to the next one. Keep moving. There's no improving crossing safety and comfort, and here they do go after each of the segments. You can see they do different things in the different segments, including concrete islands was added. You can see it here. Again, there's a more fixed infrastructure move, which is why I'm not sure what the sidewalk means. Painter. No. Any comments about this particular kind of goal and implementations? Okay, seeing no hands, on to the next one. Simplifying complex intersections. As you can see, there are 1, 2. 2 for the first one, and for the second one, they're expanding the public space, which makes it a little bit, makes it different. No hands up. Move on to the next one. Rebalancing vehicle space with public space, again, based on the number of users in the different categories. Pedestrians versus vehicles, specifically. You can see there are 3 different things that they offer over different segments. And I see Carrie has her hand up, so let's start. Carrie, if you'd like to speak. Well, she can unmute herself.
Okay, yes, I was able to do it. My hand was actually raised too slowly for the last one. The closing of Walker Street.
Right, but you just go on.
Sorry, if you go back one slide.
This one or the one before?
Where it talks about closing Walker. I think maybe it's anyway, I'm a little concerned about closing Walker Street. It is a good outlet for vehicular traffic, so closing that for all pedestrian use is just something that I'm interested in understanding more. So that's just one that I'll want to pay attention to when DOT comes, but I'm not sure that closing Walker Street from Baxter to Canal makes sense there.
I want to remind you, because it's going to come up later on a slide. This was part of a Gateways to Chinatown initiative that the DOT went after, and there were public hearings from 2015 until 2020 about that. And in fact, the movement of that was, in fact, to close it because there are so many pedestrians over there that they don't physically fit on that island. Closing the street, which had a very, very low volume, just made sense because they didn't even want it. They didn't go, obviously, to recommending a shared street. They jumped to just on closing the street, which I guess makes more sense when you talk about intersections because they don't want this slip street. I mean, cutting into Canal Street is Talbot. But that next, you're right, next month they can answer those questions into a meeting. But you can look up gateways to Chinatown and see, get some information there too. And improving the bike connection. Carrie, hand still up or? Okay, you don't want to speak on this one? Okay, then let's move on to the next one. I'm going to start putting them in context by segment.
Next one.
Go to the next. So let's go. So I have to switch to another screen because it was too small for me to see my device. Okay, what you can see on this one. Just had some. You can see the brown areas around the edges. That's where they are using some kind of extensions. So it is a little misleading because on the north side, you can see the brown area on that one block where they're obviously increasing the sidewalk. Otherwise, it tends to be more around the corners. They are doing some painted changes to direct traffic or do whatever. You'll see the bike lane itself is going to be on Watt Street, not on Canal itself for this segment, not until you get to Hudson Street. Any comments about this segment where there are two of the goals being met?
Well,
You
Betty,
can see them, one in pink, one in green, yes.
I think I wanted to comment before, there's a missing, I would like to have another goal. I mean, I think they're missing a goal. A goal should be to increase the transportation capacity on this. I mean, this road, I mean, it's
That's
actually,
your recommendation.
this is mine. Remember, everything I say is me, right?
It's not a goal, that's not a-
No, but I'm saying it's missing. I would like to see that goal incorporated because nowhere does that take into account transportation flow. I mean, this connects the canal, the Holland Tunnel and the Manhattan Bridge. I mean, this is a vital artery for Long Island and no one's addressing that because putting all these plans that are being proposed, it will reduce that capacity. And has that been considered? Because I don't see that anywhere here, that they're not considering that, how traffic will flow, how our goods will flow, how people will move. It's only pedestrians, and that's only one mode of, one mode of transportation, people walking, which is fine. I'm a walker as well, but there's no talk about maintaining the capacity.
Let's look at the capacity counts later. Can't answer anything because I'm not a traffic.
That's okay, I just wanted to bring up, that's all I wanted.
But we can look at those numbers, and I think some of the attitudes could change a bit, because a lot of them are just going through. They're not, this is not a destination for them, this is a pass-through route.
Right.
And it's very much like with congestion pricing, they said, how much do we want to make it pass-through, and how much do we want to say, another way to do it? And that's up to crowds to decide, not me.
I would,
But keep that in mind. Yes, Cody?
just as far as those concerns about traffic flow, and it just might mean more controlled traffic flow, i.e., less chaotic, which it seems to be now at rush hour. Every,
So that's why I look at the goals from that perspective. Are the changes being suggested going to do what you're asking for? Controlling the flow of that. I.e., are the number of lanes staying the same so that in fact the capacity is in fact different? Are they doing something else that you think would complicate the traffic and flow? I mean, those are the things that
okay.
I'd like to hear from people if they see something. And Tammy has a hand up, so Tammy, if you'd like to speak.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, by the way, Marianne Braverman and Mariama are stuck in attendees, so if they could be moved over, that would be great. I appreciate that. That
Well,
goes to Zach. And then they're board members, they could be moved up. They don't need to be in attendees. And I would be concerned that to understand what the needs on Watt Street are. Not convinced, but adding a bike lane to Canal Street overall is a great plan, especially when later on it moves off Canal Street at a very, very busy intersection. why aren't we looking at an opportunity if all traffic as has been claimed is lower? Why aren't we looking at opportunities and maybe using Spring Street and having a crossing made from the Greenway directly onto a two-way on Spring? Because it gets you away from the most complicated of intersections and provides a much safer passage for bicyclists.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, although I think there should be a bike lane across all of Canal. I think makes the most sense, there's the most space. I just don't like some of I don't like these roundabout routes. I think people aren't gonna know about them. They're not gonna use them, they're not gonna be convenient. I mean, going to Watts, then onto Canal, we're gonna get to the rest, which is crazier. I just think it's disappointing. It's not really, it's just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it as opposed to really creating a new thoroughfare. Maybe it could be on Spring Street or something. It just seems like Canal would be a good option right across, but.
I
and-
also want to point out that all of the crosswalks go directly into sidewalks. So if we created a new crosswalk for bicyclists that was dedicated, then you don't have the mixing of bicyclists and pedestrians in a crosswalk, which was one of the goals that we talked about when we did the 9A walkthroughs, is having places that the bicycles could cross that's separate and wider and better than where the pedestrians are. So that goes much to the point of that. The other thing is, I am not convinced that people on Watt Street have had input into this, because when I asked DOT whether they did individual outreach to those blocks and those sections, and the answer was not that they had. So I'd be concerned that it would end up being another argument and fight if we haven't actually made the effort to contact them. And it's also got cobblestones on it. So how are we putting a bike lane with cobblestone intersections?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, I was surprised by that only because I've been told that if it's on a cobblestone street, they have to do a capital project in order to put the smoother stone down, even if it just, they can't just rip up a part and do that strip. They have to do the whole street, or streets in this case. So again, next month will be where that gets addressed. And again, as Jeff said, even with this other bike lane, which may or may not be a great idea, I don't have the experience to speak. There will be people for the bikes, it's the destination is on Canal Street, and they're going to be on Canal Street for that reason. And we'll look at those numbers later.
Well, but I think that's my point in looking at this in a chopped up manner, is if we're going to be able to do a two-way safe bike transit across the street, and you have already plans for it on other sides, why aren't we looking for that same kind of a direct connect from the Greenway here? This is very, and I will say for the record, DOT did claim that the numbers were so much lower for due to congestion pricing. We use the Holland Tunnel twice a week, every week. And I pointed out to them that the cones are out there and NYPD is redirecting traffic, and they were unaware. They said, oh, that hasn't happened since COVID. And I'm like, that's not true.
No,
So-
and I know that Jay has asked that some of those things that are put out there, that they be something fixed into this project, makes it a little bit more permanent for those flows. So I'm sure he's gonna be bringing that up at some point as well.
Okay.
Yes, Eric.
On this slide where Hudson Street and Canal intersect, it turns, I'm gonna say, the eastbound of Canal into one lane. That provides no alternative in case there's an obstruction, a disabled vehicle. So I think that's unwise to reduce Canal to one lane in each direction.
I'm gonna ask you to bring it up again next week,
Okay.
but I'm glad because I'm recording this, I'll be looking at the tape and things down. So thank you for saying it tonight. Consider it for the DOT presentation next.
Betty, it is really important to me that if we are able to do a joint hearing and get it off and running for the 30th, that people that we're listening to our neighbors north and south, because we should be not divided by the line that is here, and that all the feedback that comes raw data back to DOT from what people have said, that it is. Kate's here. I'm delighted that Kate's in the room. She's hearing all the concerns and conversations. But it is really important that when we're talking about Canal, if it's not the raw data and the raw feedback that we're giving, is whatever sharing of, well, this is what CB1 feels, comes out of the main office. And we do a resolution on it next month after a full presentation.
Well, probably not next month, but it will be put into the resolution that gets drafted. Let's go to the next segment. I don't see no hands up.
I understood that DOT was coming next month to do a dedicated one. That's what Danielle alluded to. Is that,
Correct, that's.
Yes, yeah, so we want to come to all the boards individually to give a presentation. And Tammy, I know that CB1 and the other boards are requesting this meeting on the 30th. I emailed you and Zach and the other boards about that today, about the format of the meeting. And perhaps we could talk about that more. But yes, the goal is to come to all of the boards, and give them an individual presentation regardless of one larger joint meeting.
I'm happy to
Sorry.
talk to you about the format afterwards.
So I have the CD dates. I shared them with my colleagues. I'm waiting for them to confirm which day. Yeah, so I have the November and the December dates for you guys because it might be here early, or maybe we can do end of November for you if that works better. Yeah.
Okay, but just so you know that, well, because for the November dates, there may have to be some negotiation.
Well,
We can change the sign.
yeah.
So again, here you can see the bike lane, and you can see there are 3 different goals being addressed in this segment. Comments, and I see Carrie's hand up, so if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I was more, it's just for clarification. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to register those comments with Kate, or is there going to be, I understand there's another session that's coming. Are we going to take tonight's comments and create some sort of digest of those to give to Kate, or what's the plan for tonight's comments? Are they for our own edification, for DOTs, or something else?
Or CB1, for me, you narrow it down to just for me. I want to start to get a discussion of what are CB1 interests. How are people looking at it to prepare better for next month when we have the professionals here to ask questions? And to get people thinking about the questions they're going to ask next month when we have members of the DOT. Now, if at the meeting for CB1 to 3, there is someone from DOT there, by all means, anyone can ask at any point. I'm just organizing for my committee, not discouraging people from participating in every event, because there'll be multiple.
Right. Okay. So, so now that I understand that this is where we're going to collect our committee's comments and make sure that they're heard. So on the last slide, I would just make a note of, yeah, the one that goes to Watt Street. Yeah. Along Jess's lines about having a direct connect between the Greenway and Manhattan Bridge, whether or not it makes more sense to have a center 2-way bike lane rather than putting it on one side and creating potential conflict for bikers who are going to naturally want to go up Hudson Street's bike lane. So it might make more sense to make a divided median bikeway in this section or along Canal Street generally.
I see Cody shaking his head out, I'm waiting to him to speak.
I agree. I think I would too, like on, Delancey, where you have like, goes up to the bridge, same thing here. That would be wonderful.
That's a great suggestion, so thank you. Again, I will be recording all of these in preparation, not only for next month, but also for the longer term, which will be the resolution.
Betty?
Yes, Carrie,
All right.
Carrie, you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, Tammy?
I would like to ensure that this is step one, that it's not as robust of a group that needs to be, which I would assume would be at the next meeting. These are first blush responses, I'm sure, for people who may not have seen or have done a walkthrough. I'm not sure how many people have actually done one from any of the walkthroughs, but I would make sure that when we're talking about feedback, we are a little bit more, there's a larger group of us because there's not that many people on the call and in the room. So I just kind of wanted to punt that out there.
Agreed, that's why
We're having more meetings.
I did not give a grandiose purpose for what I'm gonna do with tonight's information, other than it's a really good start for moving forward.
And people should come to the meetings.
These are the meetings.
Next.
Hudson to West Broadway, which again, if there's a bike lane on Hudson Street, this feeds into what Carrie was saying, that could be another group of people that are coming on. I suppose. Any comments about this segment? Tammy, did you want to talk about this particular segment or your hand's still up?
I'll wait at the end. Let other people go first.
There are no other hands up for this segment. Oh, sorry, Eric.
Yeah, just, that island on Sixth Avenue and Canal. I mean, I think that would be, people would get bunched up on there. I just don't see that as viable. I mean, if there's cyclists there, that's part of the bike lane. I'm concerned that either you should go across. I just foresee bikes, congregating there. It'll be more than than the space allocates. And that could lead to problems of when cars are turning, so. And I don't,
I'm confused. That's already there, isn't it? On Sixth Avenue? No? No? That bike is there.
You just.
The island.
No, the island is not, I mean,
Oh.
correct me if I'm wrong, Kate or somebody else, but, no, I walk that way regularly. That island is not currently there.
It's not.
And I agree with
Island.
Rick. There's a bike lane, but there's no island, and having people stop in the middle of that intersection, I think is a little, I think it would be
Yeah, look at the,
to have them,
look at the pink
pulled
rectangle
back.
at the bottom.
Okay.
That's showing it the addition of.
It's a different corner.
Yeah, no. They're talking about here.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
There's no island.
yeah, it's in the middle of the street.
So you're concerned about the island or the bike lane? Just the island?
The island, it just does, it looks awkward to have it in the middle of this street.
I get what you're saying.
I think it's gonna end up like Center Street.
Yeah.
Which the DOT acknowledges is a problem.
Um,
Not enough.
While we're at this stretch, I mean, I just want to throw out there that, that stretch of West Broadway, from Sixth to Canal, I think it should be closed to traffic. It's just all illegal placard parking as it is. There's really no reason to be using that route with Sixth Avenue right there. They obviously want to create a bunch of pedestrian space anyway. There should be any car traffic that would help to get the ridiculous amount of cars that are just parked on the sidewalk there. Maybe, hopefully, but it seems like a good opportunity to just turn it into a big plaza.
Well, let's take other comments on that, because I see Carrie first and then Tammy.
I think, Jess, that, it's an outlet for people who are not going further up, people who are going east. So there is a fair amount of traffic that goes up West Broadway there. I mean, it's a trickle compared to Sixth Avenue. But oftentimes Sixth Avenue gets sort of bollocksed up because of the turn onto the Holland Tunnel that comes later. And so anybody who wants to avoid that and is going up towards, NYU or into Soho proper and then making the right to go east, I think you still, anyway, I'm not sure if that's the best use of that space unless we were going to put a giant affordable housing complex right in that block.
Said it.
So you would not make a change then?
I would not make a change. I like the daylighting, and I am concerned that the placards will basically just use that that space for parking. So I'm not sure it's going to achieve maybe what Jess was trying to get at. But it would be better to have a bike lane there than to just close it and have it pedestrian. I'd rather see it as a shared street with a biking path, because there are a number of cyclists that use West Broadway to get up to the city bike stands, which I know it's not in our area, but there are a number of cyclists I see, because that's my walk to work, who go up West Broadway and they dock at Prince and, at the city bike station there. It's a safer biking avenue than going up Sixth if you're going to Soho and NoHo.
Right.
Okay, so that would have to be different because the one on Sixth Avenue has its own purposes and support from the CV2 area and was promoted by Councilmember Bochen. And it's finished.
Yeah, we could have more than one bike lane. I think, instead of Jess's suggestion to close West Broadway, we could encourage bike traffic to use that street and make it a shared street, not a closed street.
Like that. It's better.
So even if it's just one lane. It is one lane, but I'm saying, even with it at one lane,
It's better.
I want to understand people's suggestions. Tammy,
Chair Meltzer.
okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Are you finished?
apologies about that technology. There's a treatment clinic on West Broadway. So I wouldn't be a fan of closing that section of West Broadway because there is a drug treatment center on there, which would need medical service and access. I do agree with Jess that there's issues of NYPD using it as a basic parking lot, which is, I believe, transit. So the question starts to become, where can the cars go? Because they're not leaving there. And what can Kate do? Is this a place where we can create some legal parking that they have to follow versus the illegal parking? Like, what are the options? I love the curb bump outs because it's protection at the end of West Broadway. That makes me wish that we could do that same kind of treatment than somewhere around the Sixth Avenue one, but it makes it much more difficult because you've got the bike lane that comes up and through. So are we losing the opportunity of doing better pedestrian access at Sixth Avenue? Because it's primarily in this diagram for cars and bicycles as a primary crossing. And then you're putting the impetus for pedestrians over to West Broadway.
Well, I don't think we're really dealing with that tonight, but.
But that would
take
be
that
one of,
vote.
that'd be one of my questions to ask, right? At the end of West
Right.
Broadway.
Right, at the joint CB as well as at next month when we have the DOT members here. That's certainly worth asking and starting to get some of their input on if they've even thought about those things and what they have to say.
And the other
Because
thing
again-
is, if people will remember, we approved a giant nightclub that's at West Broadway and Canal. And they absolutely have Uber pickup and drop off. And they have delivery needs and things like that. And we have to kind of start to consider things like, for example, I'll use the whatever it's supposed to be, that's on Chamber Street. It's a building that now hosts an event venue that we all approved. We went along. It was a museum at first, so it didn't have massive load in, load out needs. The museum concept didn't work. It's now an event venue full on. That's all it is. But because the building and the infrastructure in the neighborhood does not have a loading dock for that building, they now still use Chamber Street for all loading, unloading, event production, things like that. Is it better than it was before now that they're getting a liquor license? In a way, but that only took off a small percentage of it. So when we're looking at intersections, I think it's actually really important to know what the usages are. And that particular nightclub that's been there, it's been there for decades. So it's not like it's leaving. And the need, because they do high profile events and things like that, we need to take a look and see what's going on at Spring Studios and how that backs up in this area. Like usage, I think, is a super important conversation because yes, enforcement is not the role of DOT, but unless we plan based on what we know how it's used and zero enforcement, then we're not actually gonna get the maximum of the goals.
Are you talking about the space that's down a few doors down from the Beta Force Center? That place is closed for a while. I mean, to
the
your point,
nightclub?
we still need to think, yeah.
No, the nightclub is open. There's another one at the other end. Yeah, it's a few doors down. He's open.
Like, would they have blue curtains? That one's been. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, point taken, we need to think about the infrastructure,
Yeah.
but definitely. All right.
Right, and likewise, you have to look at seeing what the DOT is trying to discourage, because we can't just accommodate the things that they're trying to discourage at the same time. People will change and adapt. As I said, they wouldn't congestion pricing, they have.
But we want loading and unloading for businesses. Make sure that we have that preserved in the conversations.
Yes, and that's being done different ways, but again, these things could be brought up next month, and I thank you for raising them, because I'm going to be doing a list of concerns in the different locations. Well, I do appreciate it.
Let's keep going.
For your notes, Betty, I'm sorry, I didn't wait for you to call on me, but I thought you might move on, and you just did. For that West Broadway intersection, may I suggest a protected bike lane on the west side of West Broadway, and make it a shared street so that there's the 15-foot clearance for ambulance and things for the treatment center. But on the left side, the bike lane could fork up that left side of West Broadway and then cross Canal, and then you don't have room on Canal for north of Canal for a dedicated. It has to be a shared bike lane at that point, but at least you could commandeer the left side of West Broadway for a bike lane there.
Well, thank you. I think it's certainly worth putting forward to see what the DOT thinks about considering putting a bike lane in. Because they are supposedly going to accommodate their plans, make adjustments after these meetings at the end of this year. And just to remind people, the 6th Avenue bike lane was completed the end of last year, beginning of this year, here in the news. It is a wider lane, so it's an establishment. Next. Go back West Broadway to Broadway. Again, you'll see 3 different suggested changes. Again, they're mostly around the corners versus the length of a block. And a lot of it is sign changes, which of course we don't know the details of and won't until next month.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start. This kind of sucks. This is just a bunch of paint. I'd like to see an actual widening of the sidewalks. was next.
Okay, so you want more permanent, you don't want to do any temporary files.
Want to redesign. As promised. Tammy, Sam's up, I care.
Yeah, you can call.
Tammy, go ahead.
So I'm with Jess in one way. What sucks to me, no offense intended, is to anybody on the call here. I cannot, Church Street in itself, we have major issues with NYPD cannot possibly get around and enforce the amount that's needed there for the vendors. Not only is it, products like watches and bags and regular street vendors, there's also a massive amount specifically around that corner in Church and all the way down Canal Street, all the way to Broadway and both sides of Broadway on Canal. It is massively, and there's videos, there's everything, I've shared with DOT, NYPD. The amount of street vending that goes on those blocks is hellacious. It's just, and they're taking up all the sidewalks. So the question that I'm asking, and I asked the Soho bid as well, is what kind of conversations can be had with DOT, even if it's like the Downtown Alliance has kiosks. Could there be something with a sidewalk extension where there ends up being eyes on the sidewalk and streets? Because the current way that things are and expanding to provide more selling space is not helping the public environment. It just hurts it. And so what design options could lead to better enforcement is a question that I think needs to be answered.
So are you happy that in fact they are not expanding the sidewalk?
I kind of want them to expand it, but I mean, I'd like to have a
Well,
kiosk there with the cop on it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I know that sounds like how, 1930s of me, but it's a lawless zone. And I do not understand how we will fix anything over there by adding more space for illegal vending. So I want something, I just don't know if this is it. I need to understand how that will actually make it better, and I don't.
right, but do you agree there is no additional space along the length of the block?
I think people will be pushed out into the painted areas to stand and go and move because
Painted areas. Well, they're corners.
yeah.
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 He's right, they probably will go in, like along Church at that corner, they're already there, they're just gonna do it on the. Probably.
I don't see us being able to actually net the goal here. Right? We're trying to reduce the crossing distance by adding painted curb extension, but all I see in that lovely pink, framed picture that's showing towards the Broadway side is a stop sign and a full area for more people to either be vending or the one standing location because they blocked the sidewalk. So, what treatments, what can be done? What's in the toolkit other than we don't do enforcement as NYPD because there's not enough NYPD for it. So, and I'll shut up.
Thanks for the comment. Carrie, what do you have to add?
So I agree. I don't think we should do any daylighting there. I don't think I cross that, I work on Bleecker and Lafayette. So I go up Green Street. I make that crossing a lot. I agree that the vendors will just fill that space. I think it's better to solve the parking problem that the post office has on that corner of Church and Canal and put proper parking there for the post office, and not create a vendor zone, which is what that would end up being. So I think that the important sort of congestion issue and pedestrian sidewalk issue at that Church Canal connection is really about proper parking for the post office. And I would suggest that the post office be allowed to park on both sides of Church Street rather than double parking the width of Church Street instead. And I don't think that that crossing is, you know, it's not that long. Anyway, I don't find it to be long. I'm not sure what the standard is. But I would not suggest daylighting on any of the Church Street canal connections, the Mercer Street little bump out, or the Broadway connection.
They're not doing anything.
But I do want to give you from my perspective, I somewhat especially disagree because I know how hard it is for me to get on a lot of these sidewalks. Because everybody's standing all over them. What about people like me who are just out in the traffic lanes because there is no increase? And some of us, I'm sure they were thinking about saying, we need a little bit of mixing space and standing space for pedestrians. Because there are these people with wheel devices that have really nowhere to go with all the people standing around on the sidewalk.
I understand, Betty. I don't know that those particular intersections have that issue. In front of the post office there at Church, it's not a busy piece. On the right-hand side where the crosswalk is to Green, I agree because of the illegal vending there, that gets congested. And so I'm not, you know, if we need a better solution for mobility there, then that's fine. But I don't see that congestion either at, 9 a.m. when I'm walking there or at, 4:30, 5:30 when I'm walking back. So I don't see that problem, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, that's always true. So thank you for that.
Oh.
Eric.
So I'm also concerned about the reduction of the eastbound lane. You're going from 3 lanes to 2, so this will be another choke point and creating more congestion. Also, the corner of Canal at Broadway, there already is an existing bump out. So this proposal is to make another bump out further, though it's only paint. But this is creating more congestion.
I know Broadway is a pretty awful intersection for me. So if there's a bump out, I completely miss it.
It's a nightmare intersection.
So, yeah, so next. Thanks, I'm going to, like I said, record all these. I do thank people. Also want to go as an aside because this was another project that's being done. It is not related. It has not been presented to our committee, so it's not made public yet. But I do want to remind people that this was on that original document and it is related and it will be coming on Church Street. And CB1 does have a number of things that we have said in the past related to that are in this area on Church Street, such as about the Barnett Newman Triangle, as well as about the micro hub of 6th Avenue. Go to the next one. I see the hands up. Again, Barnett Newman Triangle, to remind people, this is from White Street looking toward Franklin Street. Go to the next one. In the plans, and you can see this on their website. One, to increase the footprint, but then to increase it greater as it goes into having vegetation, more and more vegetation on it, and with the full length of the block. In this particular case, they are working with the DOT on a plaza partnership.
But they're not a plaza partner.
They are not at this time. They're, as I said, they are participating.
Is this in the plaza program at all anymore?
We have an application from the Friends of Barnett Newman to maintain the area as a plaza, but I don't think as of right now, it's technically in the plaza.
No, they are not yet.
No.
They're not working.
I think they're
The
Green
space-
Street.
Yeah, the space itself is not a DOT plaza yet. Friends of Barnett Newman is applying to be a plaza partner.
So it is in the works. I want people to know that these other things going on that all we know is they're going on. Let's be mindful of that. And CB1 has taken some stances on that particular block. Tammy's hand is up, so.
Yeah,
Sorry?
yes, I wanted to ask Kate, when will we expect to see any kind of public engagement on this part of the Church Street project? And what kind of outreach has been done to the immediate area about the potential for closing down part of that street?
So the timeline for community board presentation is still TBD. We're working, to finalize the application for the Plaza program, from the Frances Group. And again, I'm not aware of a proposal for the closure of the street. So I would say whatever changes we make to the space, we would be doing our outreach to the community board. And if you have suggestions for other, groups or people or things we can do, that's always helpful and appreciated.
We'll be happy to work with, just let us know when the time is to be able to try and help you get feedback. I mean, I don't care if we use the Tribeca North neighborhood people and Barnett Newman people, it would be really good to be able to have a very focused group, to be able to even leaflet, because it's much more difficult when you're talking about walk-up buildings and smaller apartment buildings. It's not like you're going to a management company per se. So it really ends up being having to leaflet the buildings in the surrounding area and the businesses.
Thank you, Brenda. The next. Broadway to Baxter, we're getting to the eastern end of our district. And here you can see actual extensions of the sidewalk, the block line. Correct. And you can see 3 different goals being addressed. And you see that the parking is being taken off because of the expansion of the sidewalk. And they will be on the side streets. That's what it says. Put in hands to comment on this particular segment. Eric, you go first.
So with this layout of businesses on Canal, how would they accept deliveries? There's no way for them to do it.
They would be on the side streets. But that's how they have to
That-
go to Park City Hall.
That
mean,
does not,
Ubers-
Betty, that's not necessarily true at all. Consider about the double parked 18-wheelers and trucks up and down South End Avenue consistently. They don't use the side streets, they double park in the main street.
Because they can.
Also
And I-
large, let's say it's an 18-wheeler, they can't navigate the side streets.
Well, actually, probably.
But they're not-
They probably shouldn't.
They're not taking away a lane, they're taking away
But
parking. It's not like there's parking for
Yeah,
them to.
but Jess,
Right
have
now.
you know the bottom of on the Lower East Side, when you look at like where the NYU Medical Center is, which is right by the bridge, and there's a giant pedestrian build out in front of that building. The trucks double park right in front of it. And on the side of it, they don't actually use the side streets when they're doing deliveries over there. And it's a bit of a mess. So it's a live in-person example of what we're talking about in terms of, again, I understand if everybody followed the rules, they'd be able to, find spots, but that's not the reality. And
I
also,
agree.
I also want to say on the side streets, there are restaurants with sidewalk dining. So it's not as if every side street is available for truck parking. It's just not the reality of the area because there's no roadbed dining on Canal Street. It's all on the side streets.
Isn't this already happening though? Because it's not like there aren't cars parked in the loading zones, like they're blocked all the time anyway. Which is taking away the parking.
Not all the time. I've seen it clear.
Well, I say something's gonna be worked out and question to the DOT people who know the answers. Some of the sign changes could also change where restaurants can have street seating. Because there are certain restrictions too, so there's so much that we don't know. this time, that those are issues that, again, they'll go on my list, but.
Betty, also,
Up to you.
if somebody, gets off from an Uber or a Lyft, that means in order to be dropped off on the canal somewhere, they have to block a lane.
No, they go around the corner.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, I want to tell you
It's not gonna happen.
that's not my experience with what I do. Why? Because we have lifts on the vehicles that I have to transport in. And so on small streets, they will stop in a vehicle lane, but that's the only thing they can do. They can't curb access means nothing, because they can't get it. And they can't do it when the van lift goes down the back anyway, which is true of the taxis.
The taxis will stop there, and, if there's a traveler with luggage, they're gonna stop and load. This all obstructs the lane.
Right, but you're making an assumption that people are gonna be dropped off exactly in front of the building they want to go to.
That happens all the time.
Well, it doesn't ever happen in my life, but
What about the
Yeah.
hotels that are over there? Will the hotels have loading? I see it's a curb extension for the length of Canal Street. Will you be providing drop-off zones within that for hotels and businesses at all?
I'm confused. What are the taxis and Ubers that are doing like a nice parallel park and bring you up against the curb? They always drop people in the lanes already. Like,
Yeah, but at
I've
least
never been dropped off.
before that,
yeah.
with this new proposal, they're not even able to drive on, because that'll be for pedestrians. So now they're always going to obstruct the lane. At least currently now, they can always pull in to an opening.
But they,
But there are no.
It's not always filled, it's not.
Yeah, during the busy hours, it's not creating much of a difference. But we're not the people to really answer it, so I'm glad to hear what people have on their minds.
But yeah, point taken. And also, another note, I want to say, should be concrete also should be painted. Cody, you had your hand up.
No,
Oh, you didn't?
I want to,
yeah.
Betty, I want to also give a shout out because I did hear from some of the people from Chung Park, right? And they were not excited about not being able to access and be dropped off and their facilities. So they were not, they saw the benefit of that triangle getting closed in for, expanded public space. But on the other hand, they didn't feel that it would really be a benefit in terms of the medical facilities and the usage and getting in and out, and that it would potentially really clog up Baxter Street, forcing more traffic on Baxter. And we don't even know if Baxter will be open all the time due to the borough-based jails. So there's a lot at this particular eastern side that makes me uncertain whether it's a good idea, because if Baxter ends up being mostly closed for quote security reasons or whatever the case may be, that's going to cause major problems further up the road here.
Well, it's going to anyway. I mean, do you agree? If it's closed, Baxter's closed, it creates a problem.
But if you understand what I'm saying, if you're saying that people will be able to be dropped off on side streets, and one of the major side streets ends up being closed by the borough-based jail, then that does not actually comport to work for not only the businesses on Baxter, but for Chung Pak and access and medical and everything else. So I think this particular area needs a little bit more study in terms of usage and a greater understanding of what's going to happen from the borough-based jail and maybe commitments. So
Let's see, because I don't know how much movement there really is on that segment that they're talking about closing, proposing to close anyway. We have no answers here tonight, so. Again, we'll keep track of it and Kate's paying attention. Henry?
Yeah, so I think I think we're basically having the same problem by expanding the sidewalk here as we do to the west of Broadway with illegal vendors and shops pushing into the sidewalk when their footprint is not allow that. So I would rather see the greenway. I'd rather see the expansion of the bike lane across here in that center than to give up I'd rather you redraw the traffic and have, better bikeability across Canal Street than to expand those sidewalks. I also agree with Eric, and I'd like to know the numbers about reducing to only 2 lanes. I just would like to know more about the flow of traffic and what that change from 3 to 2 will mean. So if the flow of traffic is not so intense that we can give up that space, I'd rather give up that space to cyclists and connect the greenway with the bridge than to have expanded sidewalk space.
Thank you, yeah, and the reality is there are gonna be some cyclists. Like I said, if this is their destination, they're going to be there.
I don't know that I'm not sure that this is the cyclist destination. I think it's a transit and a crossing west in order to go north. So I can see plenty of people coming off that bridge and then making the right-hand turn to go up Lafayette or eventually to go up 6th.
And we'll look, and you'll see some numbers for people who are destination Canal Street and who came by what mode.
Betty, do
Because
we
the DOT
know if that area is historic for anything, that particular triangle?
Historic in what sense?
Any
Sure,
sense?
sort of.
I am not aware that it is or isn't. That was never a discussion during the gateways to Chinatown.
No, it's
So I just
not,
don't know.
it's not part of like it's not part of the discussions that I've ever heard, but it's a question that I'm asking, right? Is to understand if that's historic in any way, for any reason, it was there. And then
I just
again,
Exactly.
It's easy to find out.
Because no one here knows the answer, but
yeah,
Right.
and then, can I ask a strange question? When you look at the expanded public space, is there an opportunity to put a deliverista hub? You see where that nice picture is that you're talking about. It's great to have expanded public space, but it would be great to put charging stations potentially and a deliverista hub.
I think
oh, you want that on?
we might also be better served to have cargo, to have micro hubs, off the main part of Canal Street so that some of that truck traffic could get to a particular micro hub and unload and then leave.
Well, and you're gonna see a slide later where the DOT, it's their slides, talking about the various toolkits they're gonna be working with, and one of them is the micro hubs. And they do have a lot of programs, so people who are the status quo and then superimposing it on this, we're probably going to get it wrong because they are obviously looking to move into some of the programs and change how things are done.
I mean, again, the
Well,
street vendors here though, are we building out more space for street vendors? I hate to
That
say,
is the question.
It should.
I mean, that's definitely an issue and definitely going down. But let's go to the next one. Again, they acknowledge that,
We're out of our district. right?
we're out of our district, so it's more our perspective, because again, we certainly live close. There are people, certainly our visitors and shoppers and whatever along this area. But I am aware that this is CB 2 and 3. We'll be taking the lead.
Things.
Sunny comments?
Yeah, closing Walker Street, I think is absurd. As it was said earlier, Walker Street, that's a relief valve for when there's traffic on the western side of the Canal Street. If that's closed, Baxter Street heads south, so
no, bastard.
yes,
Oh, it does?
yes, it does.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Sure.
Right. I apologize.
So I think this is unrealistic in terms of having the movement of people and goods. It's basically obstructing people.
Confused. What you're saying, does Walker goes east?
Yes,
So it's a valve.
Someone makes a wrong turn heading south and decides they don't really want to go south on Baxter and they want to,
Back onto the-
yeah, like, we can't have a design for the bad drivers in this.
No, it's not bad driving, it's if there's traffic, it's congestion.
Everybody's made a mistake in their driving, but you don't put a center lane and they don't make U-turns.
No, that's not the purpose of this. It's a relief valve, or if you want to say, for congestion on Canal Street.
For cars.
Yes, for the goods that we need to survive in Manhattan. And also, I'd like to add that. So, you know, it's also for people to travel when it's raining or it's snowing. Let's add that in as well. Not everyone bikes on a winter day or when there's sub-zero temperatures. And not everyone can bicycle, especially if you have elderly parents. So let's just keep that in mind, that also a car and trucks, they are essential for us.
We're gonna look at the numbers really, really.
Yeah, no.
Because the numbers, I think, will change a lot of what people's rhetoric.
One thing I want to find out is that, I mean, I wonder if part of the reason they're doing this is to stop people from using Walker as a relief valve for canal, because as you were saying before, most of the traffic going this way is people cutting through Manhattan to go to Long Island.
During discussions with the Gateway, because I participated in those, that was definitely something they were very concerned about.
Yeah.
They're also very, very concerned about pedestrian safety. There are a lot of injuries around this area for this. They're just massive numbers of people. They do not fit. But there are a lot of injuries to people, and the move was towards people first versus vehicles being convenient.
I mean,
And then the numbers were small of vehicles. It was mostly people who lived, had the businesses there who said they like to park in front. They're the biggest group that keep it up at that time.
you want to keep going?
No, no, I didn't get a chance to speak yet. Sorry, Jasmine. I know you're trying to be quick, but can you go back, please? Thank you. So I want to reiterate what Eric is saying. What happens is that the Holland Tunnel traffic backs up at Grand Street. And so nobody can move across Canal, and Canal gets blocked at West Broadway and at 6th Avenue. So what happens is people go on Church, they make the right on Walker Street in order to get out of town. And so Walker Street is a really important valve to let traffic continue to flow. I think that you can maybe solve the conflicting pedestrian issues, which I agree are a problem in that intersection, Betty, by making sure that Walker Street is a very narrow lane between Church and Baxter, and then keep it as a very narrow lane on Walker. So you need to, embrace some sort of traffic calming so that those trucks, because they are usually trucks, move slowly through that intersection. But I think it is an important escape valve when the Holland Tunnel, basically blocks everything to the west.
And I just want to note that they've already done significant calming on Walker, because it's like almost the entire block. There's a whole block of city bikes there. That's on the north side of Walker. So they've already done a lot of work on Walker to make that a better bit calmer in itself of that little street.
Yeah, the city bikes have made a real big difference there. So I think that's it's been a great addition to that block.
But creating it as making that particular block more difficult for the seniors from Chung Pak, I think is a mistake. And for the businesses that are there.
More difficult to drive on.
They value there's no one I spoke to from my meetings with the senior center and Chung Pak who wanted Walker closed. They want to be able to get in and out by car, by medical van, by deliveries, and things like that. So they like the improved walking, and they didn't think their street was a problem. They're also very concerned because they don't know, and none of us do, what the reality of Baxter will be.
Oh, that's very true. Luckily, there's a CB1 district.
Baxter is CB1.
Steve, yes, that is, Walker is.
Walker is CB1, just
Yes,
off one
they'll be
side.
presenting at CB2 and probably CB3 meetings. So they'll have lots of opportunities to speak. Katie, what do you guys? Yeah, this is just to show, this is again the DOT slides. No? So they have been doing outreach over a period of time. Move on. Here's outreach. The biggest thing is the graph at the bottom. If you go to the next one, you can see it in a bigger size. You can see it better. This is more the sense of the destination. You look at what kinds of vehicles actually got people who are going to Canal Street versus passing through. These are those numbers from counts have been done. The numbers for driving alone, carpools, and for hire vehicles, taxis are pretty small numbers compared to the walking, mass transit, biking, and bike share. But keep in mind, this is also informing some of the decisions. Don't think you can just plain override it if they're trying to rebalance. So this was interesting, and you can go back and take a look at it. It's been handed out to the DOTs.
It's missing trucks. Where is their count? I don't see the trucks that are passing through here.
I think Katie can ask them, we'll ask them for next time to that.
Yeah.
Information.
As well as vans.
Well, I guess it's smaller than the cars. But again, those also for the area, they're not for a particular street. And I assume you're talking about more for a particular.
Both. Businesses need deliveries as well.
Of course they do. They're accounting for that. There are different ways of making deliveries too. Because hourly
It's
rates,
efficiency, economies of scale. You don't want little deliveries for a restaurant. They need to have a truck deliver their goods.
Make those
Refri-
assumptions. There are trials that I'm looking forward to hearing about from Governor's Island.
Betty,
Well, I think your
Betty?
assumptions are,
at the end of the
Biases.
day, there is no such thing as refrigerated last mile delivery yet, right? Refrigerated trucks that deliver fish, meat, and things for restaurants come on a regular method of delivery.
Well, Empire
In
Twin
bulk.
Cities said otherwise, so I am not an authority. And
they're selling the product. That's why they're saying it to you that way.
Well, you know, it's not a product, they're not selling them, but they're,
A service, they're selling you a service.
no, a
And
voice system.
I don't know what we're talking about, so let's keep going.
Yeah, they're saying that they have.
I don't know.
Next. So previous outreach, we don't need to dwell on it because I don't have any information about it. Next. For timing, again, there are two different, and you can go back and look at it. But they took a time in the morning, 8 to 9 a.m., which they saw as a peak time for the morning. And they also took another one for the afternoon, which is again, more the rush hours, times that they looked at. And you can see what the numbers are. They're greater for pedestrians in the afternoon than the morning. But what's interesting is when you look at these numbers of vehicles and you match it to those with destinations, yes, most of them are just passing. They're simply getting from one end of Manhattan to the other end of Manhattan, and they have nothing, they're not providing business, they're not providing anything other than congestion because they're not, obviously not stopping. They're passing through. But all those numbers you can ask about. Next one, the PM. Again, you'll see the numbers of the pedestrians go up, and they're going to be accommodating the biggest numbers, or have to answer to the biggest numbers with the design because they. I'll do this. Next. And again, there is safety, which is why it's a Vision Zero corridor. You go to the next one. West side is not any better than the east side, certainly not any better than the west side. Injuries, and that's also being kept in mind. Mindful to take a look at those as well, because I know you have a copy of all these slides. Next. Next.
Tammy, that's weird.
The crosstown bike lanes, and you can look at the various management toolkits, which is showing that they're looking to change a lot of things, not just route recommendation. And Tammy, what would you like to talk about now?
I would love to see when DOT comes back, some of the metrics and the numbers. Like, I know that some of the information was done in 2022, right? As we came out of COVID, which is pretty amazing. But has there been any other more current statistics as we've come out of the pandemic and recovered? Has there been any other information like that? And when we're talking about percentages of, X number of percentage said this, X number of percentage said that, um, numbers matter, details matter. Is it 15% of 30 people or 300 people or 3,000 people? That's numbers that I'm very interested in understanding.
Okay. Oh, Eric?
So has the DOT, asked the opinion of NYPD as well as fire department about how this will affect the travel time for them?
We're meeting with all the precincts, so the first, fifth, and also NYPD Transit. And FDNY is being notified as well.
What about the local hospitals for their ambulances?
We have not met with the hospitals, but that is a good suggestion. I can bring back.
Okay, thank you.
Tammy, your hand up again or still?
I also wanted to understand, NYPD, when we talk about enforcement and opportunities for enforcement and engineering designs that potentially could aid with enforcement and traffic management and control. And we're looking at, the slide that talked about, injuries, deaths and things like that. There's no definition of that. That was all car versus pedestrian, car versus bicycle. There's there a definition that shows bicycle against people or just general crime deaths from, quite frankly, the crowdedness that it is and inabilities for people to get aid. I mean, what are the kind of nuances on that? I think they're important as we're taking a look at creating better intersections for all modes of transit and pedestrians to ensure we're not just mixing the soup.
An intersection for all modes of transit. That's scary. I didn't enter it in. That's what I was about. That's good.
Thank you.
Something happened.
Okay. Yeah, got
The
it.
timeline, if you go to the next one, in fact, as you can see, they're hoping to have it started perhaps by summer of next year. There is a gap time between when the CVs respond to them with resolutions at the end of this year and times where they can modify the plan before they start. And they will get back to us according to their schedule. They will get back to us as they modify the schedule as well before they actually start. But I want to know that there are public engagements coming up, and I hope people take advantage of as many as possible. So to how to pace yourself.
Sorry, the November one's not set yet.
Yes, I'm sorry, the November one is not established yet.
Great.
It's also a tentative date. That's our schedule. But if, as Kate says, it may have to be later in November to schedule, she just doesn't know. If Tammy, keep in mind that we may be better off to move rather than wait till December meeting to accommodate a DOT presentation, but you and Zach can work with them on that, the timing.
What's the format of the October 30th forum?
I think we're still hoping to confirm that. We reached out today to the group to talk about that.
Yeah. We are tentatively looking at attempting to confirm something at DCTV. That's not a great forum for roundtable discussions. Community Board 1 has a lot of experience on the roundtable discussions. Sometimes they're great because the people at the tables have incredible conversations. The problem that we find with that type of engagement overall is that the rest of the room doesn't know what's said at the table. So that is one of the reasons that we were thinking of having it as a public hearing to give everybody an opportunity to have their 2 minutes and speak and give their concerns and do it much like Betty has done it this way, modeling that for a larger group. So we start west and move east, and everybody north and south on that section has a discussion. And if you need to talk about both, then you come back for the next section if your business is on the corner in between. So that was kind of the concept of sort of mimicking a roundtable in terms of the way the presentation worked, much like Betty did tonight, but not actually having roundtables, workshops, because then we don't hear a holistic list of concerns. You only hear the concerns at the table that you sat at.
And you
And if
also
anybody
talked-
has suggestions, certainly let me know.
Was the discussion about being hybrid?
Absolutely, Betty. That is that makes workshop tables even more difficult in a hybrid because you really don't have an opportunity to participate when you're hybrid unless you're participating with other people on a hybrid. And that actually takes more bandwidth than I believe DOT or the CBs have. So just a straight on format is sometimes a little bit more efficient like you did tonight.
Yeah, so thank you. So when that does become official versus tentative, if you would reach out to get as many people as possible to participate, because they could do it online. So
We
it
want
would
that to
be,
be a public meeting,
Yes.
would be CB1, pairs of CB1, 2, and 3.
that are gonna lead it, but we want the public to attend.
Yes, yes, because they're interested in hearing from everybody.
And-
What is the expectation and difference between that and the canvassing that they've already been doing?
We are not at the canvassing, the community boards. So the canvassing is done by the agency. This is the community board's opportunity to hear from the public if they show, right? And to leaflet everything, have them come. There are people who managed to be able to have the time to go to walkthroughs and other people did not. So it's just about another form of opportunity for engagement.
Right, so if you know anyone's especially concerned, this is another opportunity for them where they could do it potentially on their phone or computer at home or wherever. Okay, so lots of opportunities, keep them in mind. And we'll be firming updates because a lot of it is still in flux. Next. I want to thank people for that topic because we're going to move on to our second agenda item. This one is Intro 1380, and I put some points down so that you can see it as well as I want to read it, but if someone else would like to read it, because I know people might be on their phones. But this bill is a pending piece of legislation, and it is to prohibit the sale, lease, or rental of Class 3 electric bicycles within the 5 boroughs. These are the ones that can reach speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. And currently, they are only legal in New York City. It does not include Class 2 e-bikes, which are the pedal assist, and the throttle bikes that go to 20 miles per hour. Those would still be untouched by this piece of legislation. Also, if you own one, it wouldn't be touched. But the practical effect of the legislation would be to outlaw the sale of e-bikes, which are capable of exceeding the speed limits in our district. And not just us, but the whole slow zone south of Canal Slow Zone, which is 20 miles per hour. But keeping in mind, they do not have speedometers. Okay, and I wanted to bring it up because last month I mentioned those vehicles being produced now that can go into multiple modes. They can function as a moped, they can function as an e-bike, they can function as a dirt bike or a motorcycle, which allows greater and greater speeds being produced by that same device. So this legislation is also of interest because it has a potential loophole. And that is the companies that are manufacturing these e-bikes that are marketed as Class 2 e-bikes, but have separate modes that can go a lot faster than the 20 miles per hour. It's not clear, so I had to rely on Jess for this. Get someone with a legal background who can read the law more effectively. But it's not clear these devices fall within the prohibition proposed by this particular introduction. So, you'd like to explain, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they would, the way the law is written, it says like a class three e-bike is anything that's capable of reaching a certain speed, so these would be capable of reaching that speed. Um, But it still doesn't deal, this legislation doesn't deal with the problem of companies that market incorrectly. They're telling people these are class two e-bikes when they're really not, and not being honest about how fast they can go. So one potential idea is to include a separate penalty, for marketing incorrectly. um, To just make so that these particular e-bikes are dealt with as well.
In fact, this is exactly what happened with the mopeds. They were selling them as bikes and during the bike lane. And so this is trying to cut off some of that and saying if the bill doesn't cover it, would they please cover this issue and try to not have this play out again? So there are really two aspects, to this bill that we were looking at. Okay, one is, what do you think of getting rid of, in New York City, not allowing class three e-bikes? And number two, putting in something that would go after the marketing incorrectly to mislead people, that it's a class two e-bike.
I'm confused, so class three, it's only, is it legal in New York, so is it currently legal in New York City?
Yes.
It is legal in New York City, it's legal in state of New York with populous cities greater than 1 million people.
Okay,
So it's only in.
so then this bill is prohibiting the sale of it,
Yes.
but
New
then,
York City bill.
It would remain legal.
okay,
Now, you still couldn't, as is now, you can't use them above the speed limit.
Okay.
Do that, but they did not outlaw just the possession of them within the city because obviously there are so many of them already and it would be like, they'd be illegal tomorrow. And that would be,
Right.
right,
The cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of these modes of transit.
So, yeah.
There's not been any, the city got called this pants down, but this, I mean, basically, there's been no regulation whatsoever from the get-go with these. I
Is
personally,
this the opportunity to try to change that
well,
for this?
first and foremost, I would love to see these things banned on bike lanes. Which they,
It was abandoned period in New York City,
well, we
class threes.
would ban the sale of them. right?
Sale.
ban the sale of them. I mean, I just don't see it really working because I thought mopeds were. They were being rounded up as illegal mopeds and I just,
Well, they were illegal just because they weren't registered properly.
right. So are we gonna say that, I mean, if this law doesn't pass, is there an opportunity for regulation for licensing them in some way?
That would be state level, and that's state level anyway.
I mean, I hate these things. I mean,
Right.
But I think that this,
Kind of what can the city do is the issue.
yeah, but I think it's smart because enforcement's obviously not working, right?
Right.
It's not working. So this is saying, we're just gonna get rid of them, in the future, right?
Yeah.
Can't get rid of the ones that exist.
and a woman
Start to get rid
a
of them.
woman was just killed by them.
Yeah, so it was.
In Wetlands.
And
Well,
then,
in fact, that was not a class three, that was 30 miles per hour, so that was just plain outright illegal.
Yeah.
Or it was one of those mode shifting, one of the other.
Bovans with the brand.
It was Movan.
There
I
was
think it
there
wasn't
was a
the
tip.
shifting.
I don't know if it was
We don't
shipped
know.
one or not, but it was one that was certainly not illegal. Class three or class two.
There was a
It
huge-
3 miles.
There was a little flare up on the Streets blog, I'm sure you saw it, between George Kurtzman, who basically made this comment about how, oh, now people are gonna be like banning the e-bikes, blah, blah, blah. And Charles Commonwealth came at him, it was an interesting discussion around in the biking community about this.
Well, it's kind of interesting because today, just before I left for the meeting, I saw an email from Transvault. And they have a new initiative to support this bill because they'd like to see class threes eliminated.
I would love to, I mean,
But I was surprised to see it. It's like, what timing? It came just as I was.
it's a reckoning, because I mean, there are so many devices, multimodal devices on bike lanes. I mean, I would be happy just with all, class two and three out of bike lanes. But class three was just clearly dangerous.
Right, but we have this bill that we could
Yeah,
actually work with.
sorry.
And that's why Jess and I talked about, why don't we take advantage of this bill that's pending? And look at, could we do at least eliminating the class threes and going after some of the potential loopholes? that's there for these devices that are mode shifting and go faster. It's not gonna change enforcement. Enforcement's gonna continue to be a problem. And what Transalt says, which is kind of interesting, they estimate that if you own an e-bike, they're not covered by this law either. But they couldn't buy a new one if somebody can't sell them. And they said a 2 to 3 year gap with people until the e-bike has to be replaced. It's no longer functional. It's kind of what they're projecting in their campaign.
Well, hopefully too, they can be forbidden from bike lanes of the Brooklyn Bridge bike path. Because there's nothing more terrifying than coming by that shit.
I was going to look. There are a couple of problems with doing that with this piece of legislation.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Which is
I'm sorry. I'm just,
It is an advantage. It is just whittling away at a very big problem, but if we keep saying we want regulation, we want to bypass this one chance to do some regulation. And let's hear from Tammy first and then.
Thanks. I think my question is, why wouldn't we put in here all the asks that we want, that we denote that the legislation doesn't provide, you know, a way to control the modes that are now being widely marketed and used. So why wouldn't we put in here that it's one type of bike and anything that could be added to other types that would boost the vehicle to well above? Why wouldn't someone tell me why it would be bad to add that? That's one. And two, has this had a hearing already? Has this gone to committee hearing?
Yes, it has.
So, what are you talking, like a jetpack on it? What are you talking about?
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, there are all these modes that you can buy that can be added to e-bikes to increase the speed.
Well, and that's exactly how we look at. If you want to go to the next, here's some suggestions that Jess and I played with. Discussion. Go to the next one.
it's bad.
And then I guess my other question that goes with this is when people remove the speed limiters that are on the bikes, right? I'm riding a bike that's legal, but it's got a speed limiter. So I go and I get the speed limiter taken off so I can go 40 miles an hour. This legislation doesn't do anything. I personally think if that's what you've done, the damn thing should be impounded and you're done. But this legislation doesn't help that. All it will create is a black market of, you know, people who go and have the limiters removed.
Okay, so, okay.
Okay, so illegal is illegal and enforcement is enforcement and we don't have enough of it.
We could
However-
add something that says, you know, also ban the sale of anything that's capable of modifying. I mean,
You can modify anything.
I guess that's true, we can't really.
I mean, nothing be illegal in it. Cars can go all kinds of speeds. We count on people just not going flooring it and going as fast as they can, and using judgment. Unfortunately, you know, it's trustworthy too, but.
We're forgetting that it's easy. Look, I haven't done it. I haven't. I mean, maybe I should try, but, 'cause it seems like nobody enforces rules against, e-bikes at all, but. Okay.
We have criminal charges.
But
Like double
it's,
more car tickets are going down.
from, I know the basic, theory behind it, and it's simple to do it. And you could order parts online to do it, and to modify, you wanna get additional battery power, you wanna get a larger motor, or you wanna get some controller, and, cause it's not high volt, anyway. But, so we're ignoring the tinkerers, the people that can just do basic electronics. They can modify bikes. We're not solving the problem at all. I just wanna say that we're not solving the problem at all. That's it.
I think that you are overestimating how many people will honestly do that, but I think that like this is a start of saying like you can't buy it off the street at that level. Now, again, there are gonna be people to alter, but like it's gonna happen, like, I mean, it's illegal to do it,
Yeah.
but like that's an
Exhaust
enforcement
systems
thing.
on cars. People do it, although it's
Right.
illegal. I mean, it's just, is it enforced or not? I mean, that's a slippery slope for everyone.
I mean, I think that would also possibly be, I mean, I think it'd be an open question whether or not this outlaws that. If you're like someone that takes in a bike and modifies it to go faster, I mean, you might be covered by this.
Why don't we just say, like, it sounds like we want them to do this, we want them to make it available, so let's say, let's do this resolution, we're trying to speed this up, cause I gotta be out at a certain time.
Well, I was gonna
And
say,
then let's like add, like, we encourage you to do, add more, like, making it illegal to tinker to that level sort of thing.
well, I think that's one, I don't know how much that has to be state versus city, because that's all state law. Well, come up with some wording, because I'm not really clear on what you want, and it doesn't really mess with this bill, because again, they don't have to add anything we suggest anyway. So. But I don't want to get too messy, and maybe we should take on another resolution, looking at regulation and just dealing with that. But again, it's gonna with a lot of enforcement.
So it's, last point on this for me is that I'm okay with a vehicle like this. I'm gonna call it a vehicle, but it needs to be licensed as a motorcycle or a moped, because that's what it is. It doesn't use gasoline, but it can achieve the same speeds. So for me, if they were to be licensed with a license plate and a driver's license, I would be okay if they operated, if they follow the rules of the road like everyone else.
But then they could get a moped.
Yeah.
No, wait, a moped, you mean electric powered moped or gas? So what's the difference between a moped and this class 3?
That's the whole.
So there's no difference, right?
No, the overlap is huge, and this was Mimi's comment over and over. They really overlap with a limited use motorcycle. A Class C moped is limited to 20 miles per hour maximum.
Okay.
A Class, it goes in the opposite. Class C is the slowest. Class B can go 20 miles, can go 25, no, 30 miles per hour. So they could go, and then 40 is the A. So they could get a class 3, have a speedometer, have a license plate, have a driver's license, and choose to drive 20 miles per hour. And that would get them out of the bicycle lane, which is a concern of the cyclists. It would get them onto the roads with all other responsibilities that motor vehicles have on the roads. So I don't have too much sympathy for this group, that they have other options. And I think that's probably what the people, the legislators felt when they wrote it.
I would just say, I think the difference is these have like novelty pedals on them. And that's the only difference.
Right.
Pedals that aren't used at all,
And then
but
you
they
can't
just
tell,
live on.
Yes.
you can't tell what, like, if it's a, because you, like, banning them from the bike lane.
Well, but that's the law.
Yeah, but you can't tell, like, you can't tell, like, what it's capable of doing,
Right.
so you,
It shouldn't have, it shouldn't have pedals.
yeah, it's kind of deceptive that they have.
They did it for the law, and that's why even the people
Yeah.
for the mode shifting said they put non-functional pedals on. because that's what-
Like the Amazon vehicles, they have pedals.
Well, it's-
So do you take a vote?
Yeah.
Language?
Yeah, no, what do people think?
Yes.
Oh, Tammy has a hand.
Call the question.
Give me a hand up first.
I was gonna call the question.
Second.
Let's go, Tammy, were you gonna vote?
Oh.
Okay, all those will go affirmative. Anyone who is against resolution, okay, 1. Anybody who is abstaining? Anyone who is recusing? Everyone else, I'm going to assume that you are for the resolution and it passes. So we'll take
Debbie,
it
is there a
forward.
way that we can do a second resolution calling on New York State to classify these to be able to be licensed?
That's a different issue that I don't think we would have the same vote on.
I don't think so. I think there needs to be a discussion at some
Yeah.
point with what kind of regulation people are looking for.
Yes.
A lot of it would have to go to the state level, because they're the ones, that's where all these vehicles are licensed, are made legal or not. New York City can merely decide what they allow on the roads or not. They can't make something illegal or illegal exactly.
And isn't there pending legislation already to that effect at both the city and state level?
Well, pending for what?
Through registering e-bikes.
Because we talked about it and probably have done some sort of resolution.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But they're coming up for votes. And I don't expect them to come up for votes, so. If there's been no kids, they're going to.
This could be a good push to get it going more. Just saying.
Again, I think the vote would be very different.
I would encourage us to get to the next item, because again, I have to leave early, and I
Yes.
know there's gonna be a lot of discussion and debate.
I don't know if we're talking.
Well, you're doing district budget, because I do want everybody here to get this done. And the last item can always be postponed, canceled,
The
whatever. I'm not
15 per hour.
convinced everyone, I'm not convinced everybody is going to want to take a stance on it anyway.
Okay.
So, the district budget, those who haven't ranked it, think about ranking, and I'm gonna have Zach switch over to look at. I only have the numbers from 2 people. But at least it lets us look at the items, and I'm real interested in hearing where people look at some of their top items, and least priority ones, and answering the ones that we questioned, should they even be continued? People looking at their list. Okay.
Do you want to just go down the list?
Or did anybody rank them? I know you said that out
I have
last
like
month.
2 people who pre-ranked them, but if I get any idea of people doing any kind of ranking, I just put some of that in, and then we can screen through.
Seems like developing a comprehensive plan for Chambers Street, City Hall, blah, 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 the bike stuff. I got 2 number ones. Are we okay making that P0?
Sorry,
Okay.
Brent, I didn't hear what you said. Say that again.
It's the one that's, it's on the first page, or you can see it. Develop a comprehensive plan for
Oh,
capital
right.
improvements to Center Street. So extend, or like, we're already doing the temporary changes, doing, more
Oh,
permanent
yeah,
changes.
I ranked that number 1.
Right, that's what he was saying, there are 2 number 1 ranks already for that one.
So it sounds like I see a
Yeah.
nod, I see Eric's out of the room,
All
but
right.
I agree with that.
let's, it sounds like that's number one.
Okay,
What's happened, yeah, and the other one,
he'd like to write on it, but he's the one who's gonna have to use this in the long run.
yeah,
If
the
you wanna
number.
go change it, please do, because I can't.
Change.
Let me change.
We can change it on the paper.
It's just-
I don't-
The next one is number 2, which is like the first one on the first page.
1, 2.
Are we okay making that number 2? Is
Good with that.
appropriate capital funding for installation of approved public restroom,
Sounds lovely.
right here at Brooklyn Bridge?
Yes,
That's a big
measurable
one.
and achievable. Number 2.
Number 2, no, not ironically.
Do you have these as capital and expense?
Yes. And we're,
Oh, we just doing capital? Okay.
We're just doing the front page.
just the front page right now, because we're not looking at expenses, they have it ranked up,
So,
Okay, so where did we get 3? Which
we have
one?
1 and we have 2.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to 3 yet.
Oh,
No, we
yeah,
have
I'm
not.
not huge on ranking these, but if we are ranking them, I would.
Well, I was gonna say, it has a 3, and I understand there was X as was a recusal, so. We're okay with going, any objections to that being number 3? Do we have a park respect?
Let's do it.
Historic.
I'm surprised that the, Holland Tunnel Rotary is ranked low.
I think because it already ran through and didn't get
Okay.
much of a look at. It's still on the list. Does the ranking make that much difference in what's selected? Historically, that's not necessarily true. It's kind of what coincides with.
Is it Dwayne Park one, the reconstruct and restore Staple Street? Is that what we're saying Dwayne Park is?
No,
Oh,
No.
okay.
talking about the expansion.
It's the last item on the page.
Yeah, so that's number 3. So then number 4,
You can see the, you want to do reconstructing Staple Street,
That is
or
important.
you want to do Mill and Pave, Mill Street Roads in, which is also important.
so is the reconstruction on Staple Street, is that the road that we're talking about reconstructing?
Yeah, they,
Because they,
Yeah.
they put asphalt down? Okay.
Right, so it's just a matter of those 2, it's going to be, the
All
other
right.
one being milling and paving of Pearl Street,
both.
which is 4, which is 5, and both
All right,
achievable.
let's do 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So 4 for Pearl Street, because that needs to be paved. 5 for Staple Street, which needs to be redone.
And we want to throw a bone to Battery Park City, so number 3 on the list.
Well, do we want to keep it? I know that there was discussion of getting rid of it.
Well, I think that's that weird one where it's about like who's on first. 'Cause it's like city and state and,
Battery Park City
That's Little
Authority
West,
has not recommended anything. That's Little West was who's.
Oh, okay,
Southend Avenue.
Who's
That's
South
the-
End
okay.
Avenue, which at one point they were going to do major construction on.
Mhm.
They have dropped away from that and they're moving on with a 5-year resiliency plan. They are doing a street improvement project, which is doing a lot of little things. Do I know if they've asked any assistance with that? I have no idea.
Why don't we,
Betty, their street improvement project is specifically related to construction and their construction needs. It's not related to the larger safety issues that are on South End Avenue, which they did not prioritize because they chose to prioritize resiliency measures. It doesn't mean the need isn't there. It just means
So-
that,
There's no plan for it. So keep that in mind when you're ranking it. Is that
yeah,
how much is
it doesn't
ranking
have
that?
to be near the top. There are old plans that could be revised and renovated and move forward with the new DOT kits that are available.
Right.
What are we on?
City Authority is not talking about doing.
We're on number 6 right now,
yeah,
because I'm looking at the continued funding.
Which 4?
no, didn't
I'm
we?
sorry, there's 4 and 5.
Yeah, we did 4 and 5 continued funding, let's keep funding stuff if they're funding it, so that should probably be high up there. We wanna make that one number 6.
Which one, sorry?
It's 37 for FY 2026, continue funding projects to make intersections safe for all users.
But that's ranked 8 and 10 by others. What do people think?
I'm proposing it be number 6, what do y'all think?
And that's too general. It's not gonna be funded anyway. It's,
It's very general.
you know, it's very general. They're looking for site-specific things. This
Okay.
is completely on.
I would actually.
Right, and I
suggest
would,
taking
I
it
would
off.
encourage maybe to look at, the shared street piece is higher than that, make that number 6. The,
Dwayne?
Yeah, if you look up at the second number on the page, which is already marked 5 and 6.
Nice, yes, definitely. I like it.
Easy 6.
What do you think
so
the
make
second
that
one
number
is?
6.
That works?
Thank you.
Dwayne?
7, 2 people
No,
agree,
it's fine.
review plans and design related to
There are two
beautification.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and that being number 7.
One is Center Street.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. The funded portion of South End Avenue, 6 and 9, so we can leave that for now. But there's a 3 down here. Funding additional intergovernmental coordinations, but I proposed intersection safety.
Yeah, are we okay making that number 8?
Let me ask, which one was number 2? Pardon, I stepped away.
The first one.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. That's a good.
Coordination is on the capital.
Is that a request? Fund additional intergovernmental coordination. That's so broad.
Say that's not capital.
What does that even?
Actually, I'm not so sure the state isn't already doing that anymore. There's a whole project going on about this.
I think we should remove that one.
I would be okay with that too.
All right,
Fund additional governmental.
so we're removing 37 and 38.
I mean, I propose removing 37 also because we're just saying continue funding.
And it's not specific. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's.
For location.
So 37, 38, I would say.
I'm okay with that.
I see
Okay, so then you have your 8.
Yep,
There's
all right,
already-
let's move on to.
Alright, says,
I'm sorry, what did we rank the Holland Tunnel? Yeah,
7.
7. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so should we talk about things that you get rid of first?
Sure.
Yes.
So I would,
This is pretty long.
I mean, I think the traffic calming measures in all school zones is way too general. That's
As
a,
desirable as it is.
yeah, I think we've done a
Which
resolution
one?
on
Say
it.
it again?
First one on the page.
I think we've done a resolution, right, and we've
Well,
asked for that.
Jess, we
Yes,
have
Jess.
some school zones that were approved for school zones. We can
So let's-
adjust for the ones that don't have it. to ask for traffic calming because DOT did give us a list of streets that they were doing near the schools with lowered speed limits.
Okay, yeah, so can we name them then? Like,
Well, I was gonna say, this probably should go to Youth and Ed to put together their ideas on which are the ones that have not been addressed yet. Or two of them, we've had past resolutions on, one on John Street, one on Broadway, and I understand they're incredibly difficult. But those have also been named as ones that weren't covered by the DOT suggestion. But what other ones are there, and do resolutions or something, because I don't think this is gonna be effective, which I think
the
is
other,
just.
no, right?
I think we should rank it highly and be specific. So I think it's on us to gather some of that data as a community board, but it's a really important issue.
Do we have enough time to ask?
But it has to be done next week. It's gonna be coming up for a full board vote.
I don't
Is it gonna
think
do
that's
all
so hard because we have the list, Betty, somewhere between you and Zach and Kate must remember the school zones that we already got approved as slow zones. Right, there's a couple already. So it's not like we don't know where the pre-K to 8 schools are.
So that's not.
But we're going to, I'll amend it.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
But who's gonna take responsibility for amending it? I'm gonna stick up for Zach here, because it isn't gonna be me.
I don't know.
Good job.
Whoever, I don't know where the information is.
I don't either. And that's why I'm all for getting rid of it and doing a resolution by all means. Youth and Ed
You
should take
can't
the
put,
lead.
we can't put it, we can't push it off on Youth and Ed. They've already had their meeting this month. So you can't push it backwards in time.
I'm talking about getting it done by a different mechanism, which would probably be more useful.
Wasn't it the case that for traffic calming measures, we don't need to make an expense request, we can just ask and then they study it anyway?
So for things like speed humps, yes, that's correct. And we did send you a list of almost 4 or 5 schools where we are
Right.
implementing lowered speed limits. But if you have a more specific traffic calming request in mind, that may be helpful. But for like speed humps, speed bumps, we like do that like kind of as of right.
Yeah.
So this is asking for reduced speed limits, traffic lights, visible signage, which is different than that sort of a thing.
And reduce,
But we would need to know, comes back to knowing the specificity of this, what we're talking about and what is needed for
but it's
that.
also,
Right.
it's not an expense.
And it has, right, it's not an
But-
expensive question. But it has to
but-
also come from people who know the schools that say, this school is complaining, or I see issues for this school. And then we can target down what exactly is needed for
Betty,
that school.
it's not like we don't know. It's not like they haven't come. PS 150 is a mess. We got another email this week. Zach is well aware.
Did we ask for 150?
We did already.
We did, but there's nothing that's been done there. So we can
Okay, I'd
certainly
like-
do that.
Sorry,
It's
I'd
just
like
not
to just
taking-
make it priority number one, and follow up on it. I think if it's already in progress, there's no harm in making it a top priority, and let's just follow up and get it done.
Well, I suggest making it a low priority because I don't think it's.
I don't know if it's number one, but I think what we can do is, it sounds like it's an email, honestly, which is, let's ask, I think it's Tricia, what schools they need safety measures, and then add that.
And just Kate, would you mind resending the lovely email back to us for the school zones that you've already instituted that were part of the slow zone program?
Sure.
We have
That'd be
that, it's in a resolution already.
And I can just probably re-up the letter.
Sorry, and then circling
Yep.
back to Jess, it sounds like there are some or others that we want to remove. I see one that says Jared says
Yeah,
that's not
19.
needed.
Definitely.
All right, so let's take that one out.
19
There's
is
the
gone.
audit of
Okay,
parking,
what about 14?
parking
14
placards.
wasn't addressed.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Wait, can we just go down systematically down the list?
Sure.
14, what's bolded there? Zach, you found out that wasn't addressed, so that,
Yeah, that's still
Cross that.
active.
what about number 19? Sorry.
19's gone.
19, we're taking note. Okay.
And
Yeah.
20 as well.
What about 20?
I
Can
would,
we get rid of that one as well?
yeah, I would say so.
All right.
We want it, but it's,
Want it done, but this isn't. mechanism to do it.
We love 21.
Yes, we do.
Well, once we get rid, once we winnow down.
Yeah.
23. I think that's a good idea. And that was Tammy's idea.
28.
Protect.
There's one that needs some clarification if you're gonna consider, it, it's very confusing. I didn't even know, I don't understand.
Well, I don't really understand 28. Studies, okay, but why was it on BC Street? Just connecting the Brooklyn Bridge to the Greenway with BC Street? So-
Yeah.
so
We asked,
So I
we
had
asked
to drop them.
to where?
from the green, we've,
To Park Row, you're saying?
Yeah, the park road.
I thought Murray was the current.
no, we asked for a study and it's been a long list to turn Vesey into a shared street. Because it connects to the Greenway, to where the ferry is, to the financial district and to World Trade. And you can connect, and that was between Church and Greenway, because there's a bike lane on Church and there's a bike lane on the Greenway. So to have a dedicated shared street with the bicycle lane, and then to have them study from the Church Street bike station
Yeah, I hear you.
to meet.
But Tammy, in fairness, right, what wasn't the whole thing with the Greenway to the Brooklyn Bridge that we couldn't all agree on a specific route, so we just said we want them to study it generally. Because like there are some
Not
of us here who
for
want to
Vesey,
Street.
Vesey Street was a specific study, and because it's a closed street, and we're never getting that street back. And connecting the two bicycle ways that currently exist. And Ed said
But don't-
yes, and Danielle said yes, that they're working on it and it's in progress. So you don't want to boot
Already-
off work that's being done.
I know, but we have the capital request for BC Street being a shared street already.
Exactly,
But
and as far as the resolution that was passed by CB Warren, it certainly did not name BC Street, and it gave preferences to around Chambers Street to get a more direct way across versus waving to pedestrians.
Which was the whole point of connecting at a less distance. It's only 3 blocks.
But
It's a
I
closer
don't remember
connection.
I don't remember discussing Vesey Street on this. I didn't.
We
didn't,
have
okay.
resolutions, Eric. on it. I promise.
I don't remember Vesey Street being part of that part of that conversation. I remember Chambers Street and Reed Street and various things, but I do not remember Vesey Street being part of that either.
I mean, yeah, I think it's fine.
I think having a connection between the two is worth studying. So to the extent it's about study and develop a plan for a protected bike lane to connect the Brooklyn Bridge with the Greenway, I would stop there.
Same here.
So it sounds like we want to keep it,
Just get rid of
We'll rank
everything
it
past the
later.
semicolon.
okay,
Yeah.
32.
I rank that number 2 personally.
Well, I say, we haven't gotten to ranking, which is all we need.
Oh, okay,
So
sorry.
we're keeping, we're keeping it. Alright.
Open dining, increasing staffing,
I want to keep it.
Yeah, I think that's.
other locations for cargo bike parking, that needs clarification, because I don't know what that means.
Means anyone want to keep it?
Cargo bike.
Which one is it? Which one?
Number 46, study locations for cargo bike parking.
Just because it's so general, Tammy.
Well, actually, they have some signage that was being considered, I think, Kate, that if they have commercial they can go into commercial parking spaces in cargo bikes, can't they?
They would be able to use the micro hubs. They can't technically
Use commercial parking spaces.
park there. I mean, there can be like loading and unloading, but you can't
That's not ours.
leave the bike there. Like it,
No, I was gonna say, all of those commercial, all the loading zones are supposed to be active.
yeah.
Also, there were 2 types. There were creating these micro hubs using streets as well as using existing public property, not just taking it from streets.
Right, and those were different, because at this point, with only one carrier, one group having control of a particular location, where with commercial parking, it's whoever.
I mean, I'm not
That's
crazy
description.
about this one, at least not for now, because we are doing pilot with the micro hubs.
I would get rid of it.
Cross it out.
Trust.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Next one, I don't really get it, because they're applying to be a plaza partner. So, you know, I don't see how that's.
Can I ask a question? Where else on here do we have Bessie Street? Did I miss it?
It's a capital.
In capital.
What number? Because
It's the
I'm
second.
looking.
Number
Gotcha.
4, line 2.
Number 4 on the first page. Or at least our first page.
And it mentions east-west movement. We're all good with.
Between Church and
So
Water Street.
For the
Okay.
Friends of Barnet and Newman, they're already.
They're already
applying
applying to be a
to
plaza
partners.
partners, that process exists.
Is there anything, I guess, so is there any, can we support in other more ways or?
I don't think so.
So I think they need the expense side because there are some small improvements that they can do with just an expense budget before they get into a whole capital. That's my understanding, is that there are things that you can do just out of the expense side with planters and intermediate things.
Thank you.
Boulders, things like that.
These new ones we all voted on a month ago.
Yeah, but let's just say that, and I can help with that, because
Okay.
support facilitate becoming a plaza partner, that doesn't make sense, so let's mention what
Got it.
Eric said. Good, thank you. Yes, we like that one.
Development.
Eric. Yes, these are all things that can be here. And I think we should prioritize ranking the things that we are new, right, that haven't already been denied.
Mm,
Well, what do you-
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily automatically do it that way, but Tammy?
Okay.
I think you prioritize and keep the things that have been, that are in progress and in budget to ensure they get done,
Okay.
because
is
you
over.
already have a financial tag to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the one that's last on here, I would put very high. Because,
The last new one?
yeah, because there's money out there, our council members asking for it, I would put that very high. That's just me.
What's the pedestrian priority pilot?
It's really,
One that was funded originally by Margaret Chin, and it was for the DOT to decide what they were going to do for it. But it was to pedestrianize.
To help
in
us,
some way.
increase like pedestrian friendliness in like the financial district
Yeah.
sort of thing? Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's number 1, but I'm so down for making it 2, 3, 4.
Is this a moot point though? I mean, so the previous council person set aside 500 grand for this. Where is it?
No, it went to
Do
DOT.
they have it still? Is it?
Yes, and so
Okay.
they're asking for it, Marte's asking for it back.
Okay, so it's just been unused funds? I'm
Yeah,
surprised that.
Right.
A long time. Like, maybe 2 years.
I think Marte's
Oh,
asked
fine.
that to either use it or lose it.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid it's
Exactly.
already lost. That's my
I mean,
question.
it is.
Ranking here.
It's money.
Oh.
fun.
What do we rank?
Oh, got it.
I mean, Kate bought herself a Lamborghini, probably.
Yeah. I guess like, maybe,
Three, 4, do you want to make it a 1? Do you want to keep it 3, 4?
I say 3, 4, 5, but like, what's the number 1 then? I guess on here. Let's start with that.
There was a split by the 2 votes. One of them is resurfacing Little West Street, because they've lived in misery long enough.
Yeah, I mean, that should be high.
The other was about the schools now, which said it's,
Well, that, yeah, I think I'm down for streets resurfacing being number 1, keep asking for it. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think that,
What do you want to do with pedestrian priority versus we can also do the other one of developing
Yeah.
and playing a plan for around Cliff Street in Fulton.
I think that should be number 2.
Cliff Street and Fulton,
It's achievable, it's.
right, I
Right,
agree
it
with
needs to be
that.
done.
All right, so that's number 2, does everyone else agree with that, Cliff Street and Fulton?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's
So
fine.
then 3 is the develop a pedestrian priority,
Let's do it.
and then 4 is implement
I'd like-
traffic.
I'd-
calming.
I'd like
Sorry.
Bessie Street. I'd like Bessie Street to be 4.
Well,
Even
we
though
already
it's on
did
the
capital.
capital?
We already did capital. It's already high.
All right.
I think there are other
Yeah.
things that are higher.
Well, we removed VC from expense.
So I think we're on number 4 now.
But
Did we get
Betsy,
go ahead.
Betsy is a combination thing because it's not only capital, it can be improved with expense, as Ed explained on the walkthrough. And there were, with painting and curb management and things like that to create, there was an
Can we make-
expense, there was an expense line that was a viable way to do it.
Then can we put it in expense just with the same wording as the capital? The only thing I was objecting to is just describing the Brooklyn Bridge, River Greenway as a VC street, because I just don't think we agreed on that.
We
That's
can,
maybe-
how about we just change the wording to connect bicycle lanes? Because we've got one that goes north-south on the Greenway, one that goes north-south on Church, which is the first goal. And then once the construction's done, they can evaluate whether or not they can get it all the way to Park Row. And it can just be connecting the two bikeways.
Why don't we deal with that next year when it's more likely and we have a better plan?
That's okay. Yeah, well, no, I'm okay with what Tammy says. Yeah, that's okay.
I know, I don't understand something.
You're saying you're just talking about connecting the Park Row, Church Street and Greenway. You're not mentioning the Brooklyn Bridge, right?
But
Would-
then the
would-
Brooklyn Bridge is important.
There's a bike lane on Church Street. It goes right
Right.
past Vesey. There's a bike lane on the Greenway. It goes right past Vesey. It's about connecting the
then-
bike lanes.
But there's not a lot of
Yes.
people who need to travel between those. Anyway, okay. I'll let it
But
go.
no, but-
Let's do that
There are
as
other
another
things to do.
I would say, I don't think it's time to add another thing to this
We'll
list.
just word it, yeah. I
It's
mean,
just clarifying the wording. That's all it is. It's clarifying
Can we just-
connecting the bike lane.
Not wording at all.
Can we just, because we have it under its capital, so can we just note it
Yeah.
as both? We
Yeah.
do that?
I feel like that would be the compromise between everybody in the room, is like, let's have the
Sounds
same
good to
wording
me.
on capital one or the expense. And it kind of essentially says the same thing. Is that number 4 or 5?
Right, is that?
Lower.
I say I'd give it a much lower number than,
Alright. So,
that's part of the.
but we're still figuring out number 4 then, it sounds like.
Correct, I have.
But wait a second, so we're making the VESI one on capital, the same one as our expense, right? The same words?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's gonna be-
But it's so different though, because the capital says study a plan, a shared street to improve pedestrian, doesn't mention the Brooklyn Bridge at all.
I think that's the intent.
Oh, okay, but isn't the Brooklyn Bridge connection the real highlight of the real goal?
Well,
The
isn't that
bike
the
lo-
problem?
Yes, I agree with Eric.
Between Church and West Street, it's the Port Authority's property anyway. The DOT can't do a whole lot without that.
I'm saying I want to have both. I don't want it to end up being that we give the impression that if you put a bike lane on Bethany Street, that we're done.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Keep
can
the
we-
shared street bike lane on Bethany and then leave open, and then also have a request for, if there's another.
Can I suggest that Sorry.
Karen?
Can I suggest that we rank the ones that are here and then we can, make the Vesey Street, 4.5 or slot it in later. So let's go through
It
the
should
ones.
it should come after the school. Fixing the pedestrian issues and the streets around PS 150.
We haven't decided where the school goes anyway yet, but nevertheless, well, it hasn't, because the numbers that came in for it were quite disparate. And nothing was said by the committee members, so
Okay, well, let's
take that on, you can,
do our best here. I don't think the exact ranking matters all that much, so let's just do our best.
I would say I somewhat doubt that it's,
Yeah, let's just.
So number 4, did we get to implement traffic calming?
Where?
The first one. Have we ranked that one then? Yeah.
Well,
You don't want it to be that high.
I don't know.
Somebody throw out what they want number 4 to be.
The school,
Leave it there.
If the
All right.
if the 26 ranking number 7 is not 20, is not already ranked, then I would make that 4.
All right.
Sounds
So
good.
let's go on to number 5 then.
Sounds good.
I'm thinking Barnett Newman, throw them some love,
Sure,
anyone?
I'm okay with that.
okay, so now on to number 6.
I'd like to put,
That's where you want Bessie?
mm-hmm,
Okay.
Okay,
See what the
Six.
Port Authority thinks.
7,
So I think can we put the separate one we're gonna create for Brooklyn Bridge connection?
we've created a separate one?
That's
I don't
all.
think that's what we said.
Separate one.
I agree.
No?
We said a separate one?
I thought the Brooklyn Bridge connection was number 1.
mm-mm.
Okay, sorry. Number one.
Wait.
Now, the Brooklyn Bridge connection is not number
Brooklyn
1.
Bridge, we don't have a number for you. What do people want to do with it? Because as far as I have, number 1 is resurfacing Little Westwood.
That's right.
Okay.
Number
yeah,
2
yeah,
is developing a plan to improve safety for users on Cliffs and Fulton.
That's right.
Number 3 is develop a pedestrian priority pilot for the
Yeah.
financial district.
Uh-huh.
Number 4, we can certainly put the protecting the bike lane connections, Brooklyn Bridge and Greenway there.
I think we put the kids there. I think we have to prioritize the kids' safety at the schools.
But I would if it was real general, but it wasn't so general and was enforceable, but this is.
The plan is to make that more specific.
Sure. Okay.
Correct, because we
I
know,
have it, Jeff.
So where do we put the Brooklyn Bridge agreement? 7? Done. No?
I know.
I
what
think
number
so.
5. Number 5.
I thought we put Barnett Newman 5. We put Barnett
Yes, so
Newman 5.
yes, Barnett Newman's number 5.
6 will be BC Street, 7 will be,
No, 6 is not going in. No.
if the Brooklyn Bridge is already getting some treatment, they've got to get that finished first before they work on the other stuff.
You're talking about 14.
I'm talking about number 28, which had rankings of 2 and 5 by different committee members. I think that should at least be a 6 before we get into AC Street and what we do on Port Authority Line.
I'm okay with that too. It's
Yes.
important,
I'm okay with that.
the Brooklyn Bridge.
We are already working with Port Authority. That's already happening. It's not like they don't own that street. The street is owned by the city. They don't own Vesey. It's a public street.
We have so many other things.
But they need permission.
so. But you don't want to put it 7 either? 7? That's the street.
I am saying, I mean, they're gonna do what they're going to do. I just don't want in the very top. Want to put it, just so we can stop fighting about it.
Yeah. In the spirit of.
Yes, I'm here.
Exactly.
Number 7.
But-
Guys, it's an initiative that's supported by not only not only all of World Trade Center, but it's
know, but-
supported by Brookfield, the PAC, all the businesses.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
don't
we-
remember hearing about it at this committee, so I'm just not
For
aware.
another minute.
We agree with
Carrie, it's been around. I'll send them to
I'm
you.
sure it has. I just haven't heard it.
Yeah, I haven't either, but it's going to be number 7 and it's a new item, so it's not on the list.
Okay, of the remaining ones, what would we like to put?
For number 8.
Number 8. Oh, LaGuardia, come on.
Do we think that's gonna happen?
It's possible with Steve Cohen funding the entire city
It's
now.
possible if you'll then, at some point back to the pilot project.
I'm okay with that.
Sure,
I'm
okay.
with it.
LaGuardia is number 8. 9,
9A?
9 to 9A?
Yeah.
Bus on 9A.
Oh, the bus?
Is that an expense request? I mean, isn't that like getting a new bus route? That's not an expense.
No, that's expense. 'Cause yeah, that's expense, because you're gonna have to have labor and operating the whole time. It's recurring.
all right, 9, 9A.
I like it.
10,
I mean, So, okay, the parking placards one, obviously, like, if it was up to me, that would be like 1A. But I don't,
You wanna make that number 10? Do you think that's actually gonna happen?
I was gonna say, I almost,
We're gonna audit and then say, okay, cool.
I almost want to
Everything
get rid of
stays
it as
the
an
same.
expense request, because I think of it as a policy issue.
Right.
Not an expense issue.
It's a
No,
policy,
I
yeah.
wanna look at, Lincoln Resslow's legislation,
Yeah.
where he's going with it. It's not announced yet what it is, but he just put out a report. Because he's dealing with it in Brooklyn now, so it's coming
Yeah.
again, and he wants to remove all placards.
So
So
we
we
can
can
remove it.
So I think we remove it.
Do you think we should?
Everybody else agree?
Don't you think we need this stick? I mean, I think it's good to keep harping on it
I
and
mean-
ask them to put money behind it.
I mean, the thing is, like, there was the Department of Investigations report, like,
Mhm.
this is all out there. You know, we know what the problem is. It's just a matter of enforcement and policy, potential policy changes. I just don't think asking for an audit that they're gonna say no to anyway really gets us anywhere. I think
Okay, well, let's get the safety improvements of Pearl, which are 9, and
Well,
the check is still needed, so.
let's
this is
decide, are
all
we getting
behind.
rid of parking placards? Does everyone else agree?
So Jess, can we change it from audit to, finance enforcement officials?
Maybe, they're financed, right? I mean, like, we don't need.
Okay,
don't need
all right,
more
I
office.
give Uncle.
It feels like it's more of a resolution thing than anything
Yeah, I
to
mean,
say, we want y'all to enforce and action on the investigations and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
With the, safety improvements,
Sick of being told no, you know.
Which
Yes.
improvements?
which is number 14 here, but safety improvements to
Yes.
increase
Mhm.
pedestrian visibility.
Um,
Location, because
It
it's
goes
not-
away.
It's not done.
I thought that was already resolved.
No, we can't. No, it isn't. And it hasn't. It's not on the books, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's still ongoing, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, we're leaving at 10. The, traffic enforcement agents on Hudson Street with all the, SIP stuff, I don't know what's been done over there. Do we still want that? Is that still a thing that being asked for?
Yeah, it still needs to be done. It's not consistent. And
Then it should.
unfortunately, but that's not I don't think DOT, that's not
Right.
DOT, it's an NYPD.
Yeah.
So that
So-
that just needs to move agency to NYPD.
Okay.
Right, which I think it is, so it doesn't need a number.
Correct.
Oh, sad, I was thinking that. It's hard. Oh, my God.
I have a question on something that was here ages ago. So when we get to the end, remind me because it's a DOT Plaza question.
But
11?
yeah.
Anybody suggest anything? We just need to finish.
Yeah, I mean,
Just bang them out.
let's go to the most specific. I mean, I like the Dwayne shared street idea, honestly. I did like that idea.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah, I guess it's because
It's
okay.
Federal Plaza. It's just, anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
right.
it could because the street itself is already closed. So it's not as if it's not possible from what we were told by the feds. They would actually
Okay.
prefer something like that because they really don't want to reopen it. So if it becomes a shared street, which is improvement for everybody, then it gives them more cred to keep it closed.
Okay, so let's just pound them out. We'll make it 11. I think we make pilot program for cyclist safety on alley streets, because I know we talked about that recently, right? Make it 12.
You need to do is that, was it,
Yeah.
We already did that resolution.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we did ages ago that might be time to put back in? Everybody remembers we improved a bathroom, a public bathroom in the plaza outside One Center. It is a DOT plaza.
We already did that.
Did
It's
that on
cool.
Capital. We put that really
So-
high.
It's done.
Good. Because I missed that one. And I just, it was announced today at Borough Board about free public bathrooms being installed in other places.
It's on there.
I'm
Okay.
just labeling the rest of them in sequential order as they appear.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
do that.
Sure.
Well, let's do the math.
Where
Let's
is
do
it?
that.
Done. Good work, team. Hey, 23 overall requests. I think we had like 80 last year.
Am I losing my marbles? Where's the bathroom?
Capital.
Under capital. What's the number that, the old
Capital.
number?
Number two.
Yes, it's the first thing on Capital.
It's the very first item.
There you go, sorry.
Listed as number two. Listed as number two. Yeah.
Gotcha,
Right.
okay. Thank you.
Good work,
Okay, so now we're talking
everyone.
about- We can make that joke. It works every time.
Only one out here, right?
Anything
I
else?
was like, no, I was like, given the size, I was going, what did we just postpone the last item? There's no
Yeah.
issue, and I have a motion to, people like to,
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
need one in committee.
Yeah.
No problem.
So I got in the mood.